Welcome, everybody. You got to get your glasses in
I
place.
got to make sure there we go. Now it's official.
That we almost had to stop for a technical difficulty. The glasses weren't on. Welcome, everybody, to another Far Beyond podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Scott Jones, and this is
Micah Robbins.
Yes, and we are coming to you, Scott and Micah, for Far and Beyond. Thank you for joining us again. I hope you're enjoying these shows. We try to mix up a little bit of interesting information.
Yes.
And
pertinent information.
Pertinent information, absolutely. And certainly with a responsibility towards recovery and helping people. But we also try to have some fun, too, because without the fun, what's the point of doing any of it?
Anything, really.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. Anything. There was a I don't know who originated this quote, but said, when you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
I live that credo.
So do I. And I've had places. Have you ever had a horrible job?
I got to
Come on, everybody's had a few.
I haven't had a horrible job. I'll say that. I've had to work with some horrible people.
Okay. But you've never had a horrible job, even when you're younger? And
but even those, like you say, those bad, like those awful jobs were so much fun because I was a kid.
Right.
So you don't know, I mean, like slinging shingles up on roofs and stuff isn't what your idea of fun, but when you're 16 and you're goofing off, you're having fun. And, I worked at a Chinese restaurant. And it was a family. I grew up in a small town. It's like all family friends.
Oh, okay.
Right, and everybody had a business, and all the kids worked at all the various businesses at various times. But I mean, I slung Chinese food. I was a video DJ. That was part of one of my gigs.
Cool.
Like I said, I worked at a print shop. I did that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What kind of print? Screen printing or
no? Like well, I guess so. The old days, but like cardstock and like print shop paper.
Oh, okay.
Cardstock, paper stock.
Cool. I used to. That was one of my things I did for many years. I had a screen print shop and embroidery place. I've done work in UV printing for the New York Museum or Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art in New York.
Well, that's.
But it was working for a company. We did their reproductions,
nice.
And it was cool. And printing, that was pretty cool. But I've had some really horrible jobs too. Yeah. You mentioned roofing. I used to hot tar roofs as a summer job. So you wait until it's the worst possible time of the year to do it, and then you do it.
Yeah. So I only wound up having to do it a few times, other than my own projects and helping out. But same person. This was like one of my hockey coaches. And instead of paying to play in the league, I could just come do the roof on the kennel. Sure, did that. Come work in the print shop. Sure, did that. You just kind of did
learn.
Your thing.
And it's like things are different now.
Yeah.
I think back when we were growing up, because we're right in the kind of the same generation. I got a few years on you, but not much. But we're in the same generation of, you keep trying things until you find what you want.
Exactly.
And it feels like there's a little bit more of this kind of millennial. I want to sit back and let what I want come to me.
Right.
I don't have to go out and try all that stuff. I'll do it all on the computer until I find what I want. In the old days, man, I had to go out. I had to do construction, electrical work, a brick mason tender, those things. And, the mason tender, you're not laying brick on a wall. You're carrying all the brick up the scaffolding to the guy who's going to lay the brick.
That's right.
And that was your job.
That's right. I worked construction 4 years in college. Shout out to the Lane Construction Boys up in New England. And I'll tell you what, it was the hardest, hardest work you could think of, but you worked with the best guys. You had like nothing but positive memories, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's the thing too, is more about the environment you work in. And even the jobs where I wound up with people, it's like, the work itself was fabulous. I've always enjoyed what I do. And I've always had a chance to work with people. That's always kind of been my thing. Even when you're a kid and you're throwing shingles around and you're doing whatever, you got to put it in perspective, right? It's like, remember, you're only 17, 16, 17, 18 years old. Just enjoy what you're doing and make a few bucks, and it's probably not going to be your career, or it can at least give you the insight to know, okay, I'm having fun right now because I'm a kid and I'm goofing off and I'm making a couple dollars. I know that this isn't what I want to do forever.
Right.
And by the way, there's people out there with those tremendous skills that are like artists with the trades they do. And you want 100 of those guys and ladies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I knew that, and they knew that they're like, he's going to work his tail off for us, but we know he's going to be doing other things. And I knew at the end of the day, so I'd give them 110% every day, like anything. And I just found the joy in it, and it was great. But also the skills, you pick up all those skills, you don't lose them,
Yeah, we see a lot of people out there that are in our age group that they're kind of the Renaissance jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know how to do things for ourselves.
Yes.
A lot of people don't now, and I'm not saying it's not like every one of us was born into a work ethic or something. But it is important for us. The reason I brought all this work stuff up, though, it's not about knocking new generation.
No, not at all.
But it's not kind of the same as it used to be, where I don't think I've ever had to really look hard to find a job, especially when I was younger. It was just the kind of thing you'd show up and say, "Hey, you want me to work for you?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'll take you."
Oh, I would just get calls.
There's a lot of those, right?
Yeah, I lived in a town where it was the point where you'd get a call on the phone, and like on a Saturday, pick it up. "Hello, Micah. What? It's Arthur. What? Coming to work. Why? Your dad's down here. Said you needed a job." That kind of thing. So that's how half of those, literally, that'd be all. That would be all the jobs I had in high school were those kind of phone calls, or even at school. I had principals that would have me they knew I'd show up. So it's like, okay, we need you to be our sweatshirt. We got all these sweatshirt fundraiser. You gotta be the guy. I'm like, all right. And you go do it and you hang out and do your thing. But anyway, I all those people I worked for, I have nothing but great positive memories. Some are no longer with us. God bless them. Yeah. Many are. And I can't list, there's so many to list, but I thank them because they were a part of my fabric, part of my story, and they were all amazing people to me and part of that journey. So
absolutely. And everything that I went through, I mean, waking up at 4 a.m. on school mornings so I can go pick tomatoes for 2 hours.
There you go.
Come back, take a shower, and go to school. And there's nothing like putting your thumb through a rotten tomato at 4 a.m. I'll tell you what, I was ready to blow chow like right there. That was,
tomatoes,
gross.
A fresh ripe tomato at the stem smells good. A slightly rotted, squishy tomato smells bad.
No, that is a chemical change that you just cannot force anywhere but in nature.
By the way, chicken farms.
Chicken
farms. That's a whole nother level of.
No, I had enough. I had some cows living in the neighborhood, but I'll tell you the thing. I brought this up because what we're seeing, you and I were talking before we went on air. We're going to spend some time talking about this today. Is about what happens after treatment,
right?
And the need for information, housing, and everything else. But jobs are a big part of that.
Huge.
And I don't think, and I know there's a few RCOs out there that are trying really hard.
Absolutely.
And there's a few organizations that are trying really hard, but I think we're really not preparing our people enough for when they hit the ground running with new sobriety. It's not like you can say, well, don't work for a while.
No,
you have to.
You got bills. You got
bills.
Yeah.
You go into sober livings. You got to pay to stay.
Right.
There's a lot of things going on there. You need to be able to go out and find a job. And is this something that you can see as improving upon? And do you?
I would say, yeah.
Do you see a path to that? You've been working with RCOs for a long time now.
Yes.
What is the path to helping that?
I think part of it is just, first of all, having people understand that there's a broader network out there and getting people connected to the services that are available, right? Florida has an incredible, like if you want to go to trades, right? You come out and it's difficult because to practice in the trades, you generally have to be working another job and like do trade school at night. But you can go to apprenticeship school for free. It's actually in Florida state. It's free. You got to be working. You have a job,
right.
But then you can go to this trade program for free. And this is going to help you get your journeyman's license in masonry, electrical, plumbing, these AC, all these things that pay really well.
If you're in Florida, you want to go into a business, AC is that's the
good place to be. And right also, we're losing a lot of the old guys that have been in it for years are retiring. They have businesses that they turn over if they're not staying in the family or what have you. The problem with some of the trade schools is that guys aren't finishing the program because they're getting hired out of it before they even finish because they're so desperate for people to work.
That's another thing. There's plenty of work out there.
Yes.
And I think the reason I said something, we've done some crap jobs because you do it to get to the next
next thing.
And you're not going to get out and it's like, hey, listen, I feel like I want to just be like a therapist. Boom. Well, that's a couple of years of work to get to that point. Yeah. You got to do the other jobs.
That's right.
While you're building. And you can't let your ego get in the way of that. As a matter of fact, It is a great humbling experience to shovel out a horse stall or to do those kind of things. Not humbling like I'm reducing my. It's more like just understanding a hard day's work is a hard day's work, no matter what you're doing, and it's a good thing to do it well. So, but I love what you're saying is we're not getting these services that are available even to the people.
We have, between the job services that the state provides, local piece there. If you go to any county, any day of the week, they have all their job. I mean, there are job vacancies that are pages upon pages upon pages. Now, mind you, everybody in recovery doesn't have to come out and start at the very bottom at something. I mean, the other part of that is a lot of, I would say, dare say, no scientific study in this at all, but I dare say that quite a few of the individuals coming out of recovery already have significant experience in a job field.
Yeah.
Professional degrees, things like that. Looking for those things that either get you back on that path of what you enjoyed or really are passionate about. Maybe it is a time to switch gears, but you come with all that experience. Let's put that to work too. Don't be afraid of using that again. So, and some people are in recovery and they get back, they're in a career. They find recovery, they go back to their career in recovery.
Yes.
Which is great too. So, finding that path back a lot, but there are some folks that, one of the reasons they got into recovery is they're looking for a complete shift of gear.
Right.
So it may be where at the beginning of it, it's trying something, maybe this is just new, but don't set your sights that this is all it's going to be. And the other part on that too is it is difficult in this day and age because cost of living is very high.
Yeah.
So entry-level jobs don't really pay the bills. It just doesn't work.
No.
So most people are working 2-3 jobs. Heck, we both work 2 or 3 jobs all the time. That's all I've ever been doing since I was a kid. I realize that. I've been like 3 at a time since I was a child.
But that doesn't mean you have to give up quality of
Not
life.
at all.
It just means you sometimes you got to be a little creative with your time.
You got,
but understand that you save time also for you and your family and other things.
Oh, you got to find a balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, but the idea is sometimes, if you're putting in the hard work, you're putting in the hard work. Putting the hard work into your recovery comes first, but you got to put hard work into something else. But don't think of it as one or the other. The effort you put into a hard day's work and doing the job, being the best at whatever it is, because it takes that little effort to be the best at it as it does to complain and suck at it.
You're absolutely. In fact, I would hazard to guess people put a little more energy into the complaining than they do into just trying to get things done.
Just do it. And by the way, you get it done. It's like you get it done.
Yeah.
And so if you're putting that kind of effort in, you're practicing those areas of discipline and recovery in your own job. And look at it as practice, right? Think about that. Why do you step onto the rink 7 times a week just for one game? Practice, and you got to practice these things. And so when you talk about, and that'll get us down the road on the other stuff, but that idea of this is all, we never stop practicing. You want to get better at something, you're going to constantly practice.
Exactly.
So if someone's in recovery, they want to practice recovery capital and recovery supports, use your work as part of that practice. Use your family as part of that practice. Use it, all those things. Nothing is singular. Nothing lives in a silo.
No, of course not. And, I want to join the real world, but I don't want a real responsibility. I
think we all feel that. Yeah.
But we see that a lot too, where it's like, well, you could do this job. This will be okay. And well, I don't want to do that. Well, what if you just did it for now? What I'm going to tell you is there's 2 things that are true in life. One is it's always easier to find a job while you have a job.
Oh, absolutely. They find you.
Yeah, because there must be something in the pheromones of desperation that sends out signals. Don't hire this guy, right? It's when you're desperate. We don't think, and we're not being logical. We're just going with our gut, and you can't live that way. But find something to do in the meantime, and also just don't build it up in your head to suck.
Right.
That's the other thing. It's like if you're walking up to a place and you're saying, "Well, this is going to suck." Well, yeah, now it is. In all the things that you think that are awful and everything, just go do them. It was Seneca who said, we suffer more in our imagination than we ever suffer in reality.
That's right.
So don't decide that doing something. listen, I had to clean morgues for a while after autopsies, and I used to.
So that's a gig.
Yeah, I used to pick up body parts and bring them to the cooler, or dirty needles, bring them to the Z1000 to crush them, and do things like that. So I'm doing all the worst parts of hospital jobs. I'm doing them, and it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it was, there's a respectful way.
Sure.
Listen, people die. You can be respectful with their parts.
That's
and
right.
With their pieces. And so it's just not that bad. But take what you can get to get started. Your goal is not going to be tomorrow. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're setting a goal and you think you're going to reach it tomorrow, if your only goal was to make a peanut butter sandwich, you got a pretty good shot. But anything beyond that, you got to plan, take time, and build towards.
Well, and it takes time.
And find the people, ask questions.
Yes.
Ask for help. Go to an RCO and say, I don't know what the frick I'm doing. Can you help me?
By the way, you can even ask that exact question. I don't know what I'm doing. Welcome. Let's help you out. Yeah. Oh, this is going out on Friday. Are we live? Are we recorded? Anyways, we hot news. Delray, number 5, 2nd Street, Delray Beach. The keys are in my car. The new hub of Delray is back online. So be getting for the grand opening. It'll be real soon. Beautiful new spot. Great new location. It's been a journey, long journey to get it reopened, but we're going to be good to go. So get ready, Delray. We're back in the saddle again. So
let's fifth grade this real quick for a second, though. You talk about the hub a lot because you've been involved with the hub up in Palm Beach,
day one
places, right? Yeah, how many locations now?
2, and 2 on the way. Belglade and Riviera is opening soon.
We talk about RCOs, Recovery Community Organizations. Yes. And that would include places like the hub, places like Fellowship, places like South Florida Wellness Center.
Wait, I want to make sure we give a shout out to all the local ones because they're all awesome. Our friends up at Rebel Recovery, of course, and oh gosh,
there's another one. I know
Barbara. I'm not forgetting about you, our friend Barbara Moody. But it's a choice. No, that's a Lynn choice.
You know what?
Love her. We'll find.
We're gonna remember it, and it's gonna pop in, and we're gonna yell it out.
Up in the Treasure Coast, it'll jump in my mind. But they do amazing work up there. So we are building a network of this idea of recovery capital, recovery RCOs, recovery community organizations. It's not a new concept. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. But for Florida, we are taking what's been done and starting to crank it to the gigawatts, right? So we're getting, county support, private support. I mean, it's really taking on the life that it needs to be, the community asset that it really deserves to be.
And this isn't about making money.
Oh, that's definitely not. Donations accepted.
This isn't about trying to build a huge business and being most of the people that work in these RCOs and that put them together are people that, maybe a handful of us out there in the community, we know who you are, but they're not going to get rich and famous on this thing.
Absolutely.
They're doing it because they understand that we have a responsibility to help people.
That's right.
So we're going to fifth grade it for a minute. Let's talk about, we might as well mention Delray Beach because it's reopening. The hub's opening up.
And also our friends at Delray Beach Drug Task Force and the incredible work they do.
And we got a lot of people, a lot of sober livings and homes in Delray Beach.
Indeed. We have
area.
Almost 25% of all certified recovery housing, Farr certified recovery housing is in Delray Beach.
Well, let's take our little that's true. Let's take our little buddy Bobby.
Yeah, little buddy Bobby.
Bobby gets out of treatment and he's scared to death. I mean, he's not walking around telling people he's scared because he's trying to keep his stuff upper list.
Being cool.
He's trying to pretend he knows what he's doing, but in his heart, he is lost. And he goes into a sober living and he's scared and he doesn't know what to do. And maybe they're helpful and maybe they could be, maybe he's just afraid. He's got no job. He doesn't know what he's going to do. His parents aren't talking to him. His insurance is now done, and he just got nothing going.
Right.
Why would he call the hub? I mean, would the hub be a place where he would call and say, "I'm lost. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing"?
Absolutely.
And this is the appropriate person to contact.
That's definitely an appropriate person.
Okay. Tell me what Bobby would do with her.
So the first thing they would do is, first of all, just be kind, be welcoming, understand. And when you walk into these RCOs and you come in any hub right now, certainly the new one, but the Lake Worth site right now, I mean, you're talking a space that has been designed to make you feel like you are somebody special, right? This isn't the remnants. This isn't the bottom of the barrel. This is you walk in, you're like, whoa. And you're like, who's this for? It's for you. Oh, okay. So that's half the battle. Fellowships, new place down in Fort Lauderdale. Say, we walked in, it's like, nobody you go to these places, everybody's got the same concept, like everybody together. So it's like, no matter where you go, whatever door you open in this space, you're going to feel warm and welcoming, right? You're going to see someone who's going to talk to you, support. Are all the answers there? Please don't misconstrue. No one has all the answers, but my goodness, we're going to try to find them all out together. So here's the thing.
And you're not going there just so they can say, oh, here's a job, go.
Yeah. It's handing stuff out. No, it's to help you.
Guidance. It's guidance and help.
So, and I'll speak to the hub is that because I know it the best, but you need to do a Zoom to apply for a job. No problem. Got computers for you. You need to apply for food stamp benefits. No problem. We know how to navigate that system with you. How to locate housing, right? It's not that they can hand out housing supports, but they can show you where the housing is and some ideas and maybe some other little foundations to help you out, those kinds of things. Help you navigate, get you connected to a recovery capital index. So get you through that process so you can help monitor your own social determinants of health. Where are you at with your social connections? Where are you at with your health? Where are you at with certain things that are associated with your recovery? So you can together monitor and work together on your recovery, right? Maybe it's connect to if you want a certain 12-step program. Like the hub and RCOs aren't 12-step programs, but they know where they all are. Right. And they're going to help you find it, or maybe it's SMART, or maybe it's Dharma, or Celebrate, or maybe you want to go to Recovery Church, and they can tell you where to go. And by the way, in Delray, it's right around the corner from the hub.
That's awesome.
Go see Mitch and the gang. You're right around the corner. Or maybe it's food security. So connecting up with some of the food security there, or whatever that is, you have a peer support specialist to help you navigate that. And that's true of any of these RCOs across this region. Everybody is a certified RCO with favor. I mean, everybody's been. So, I mean, this is something that's taken very seriously because these are folks that care. And by the way, the backing of these things, Palm Beach County has gotten behind this 100%. This is part of the initiative. We are switching to a recovery-oriented system of care in Palm Beach County. Treasure Coast, and so shout out to the Board of County Commissioners and Community Services in Palm Beach County that's behind this and funding a lot of this. In the Treasure Coast, Southeast Florida Behavioral Health, and they're supporting Rebel Recovery and our partners up in the Treasure Coast. That is, the folks are seeing the value in building community and helping people up, right?
Yes.
And it works. It works. We're showing that it works. So individuals that come in, number one thing, they feel valued. That's half of it. Now, making a connection, making a relationship. Boom, that's half of it. Feeling comfortable. Once you feel that, you're a lot more amenable to like, okay, I can be a little vulnerable. This is the needs I have. Let's help you through it.
Feeling accepted and that you belong there and that you make connections with people, that cannot be overstated. It's so important. We could suffer many things when we're in a crowd of people.
That's right.
But alone, the littlest thing might seem like the biggest catastrophe. So making that connection, having a place to go. I mean, I walk into some of them, and I haven't been to all of them. I'm sure you've been to probably most of them that have been opened. But I haven't been to all of them. I've been to a couple. And when I walk in, though, I'm like, this is a place I want to hang out. I want to be here. I've been in recovery for a very long frickin' time, but I'm still feeling like, yeah, this is my home too. This is my place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm immediately also saying, hey, how can I help? How can I get involved?
That's it.
That's another thing I want to mention. If you've been in recovery for a long time and you've got an RCO that's in your community, go see if there's something you can do. Go see. I mean, they can always use somebody to go over there and maybe do a meeting or have some fun or do something. Or
we call it give and
activities.
Get. Give and get, right? Someone can give, and even someone who's coming to the door the first time, always value that they have something to offer. Don't think they're just coming to get something. The first thing is here. What's one thing that you can give, and what's one thing you'd like to get? And anybody that can go in and do that You're always going to come in. And so we do that formally because you want to value what someone brings first and foremost. You know, it's not just someone looking for something. It's like, no, you're bringing a lot, but just a couple things we can help you with.
And a lot of them also have they put a lot of importance on understanding that people need events and activities.
Yes.
And that's important too. Just maybe you did go out and find your job and everything, but you need that place to just go have fun and do something. What kind of events have you seen these places pull off?
So I'll tell you the one that I dig in the most right now. I think I gotta remember. Getting old's terrible. The name
you still can't remember that one.
No, but I will say at the hub at Lake Worth right now. I think it's every other Friday. Yanni, our peer sports specialist there, all-star, leads an entire watercolor painting class.
Oh man!
I mean, it's like, okay, sure. We've had movement classes, and a lot of it. People request a lot of creative things. They like the creative connection. But putting together. In our new site in Delray, there's a beautiful outdoor space, brand new deck out there, little grotto kind of thing, if you will. It's like, okay, that's going to be that's music happening. That's going to have something going on.
I was going to say, yeah, some of them have open mics, and they do things like that. Yep. And I'm working with the one in Hollywood, the South Florida Wellness in Hollywood. We're going to put an art show together.
Perfect.
We're going to try to pull that off during Recovery Month in September. So we're going to pull an art show together.
Yes.
But all of these things, it's almost like we've oversold so much of the treatment that we forgot about all of this back end stuff, which is kind of all the stuff meets the road.
Right. I mean, treatment. If you look at the grand circle, right? The Rosk Wheel of Fortune.
Circle. Everybody do this.
Everybody do the Wheel of Fortune. And hey, so long, Pat Sajak, right?
I see Tommy and Sandy and a little.
But everybody's wheel looks a little different. But everybody's treatment sliver is just that, and that's not to devalue the importance of that beginning. Please understand.
Yes,
treatment is critical for most people because that's the entry point. That's the triage. That's where you get the professional support, stabilization, right? Detoxification, the things to get you going. That's this, because it could be 28 days, 30 days, 40 days, 90 days. That's all a blip. That is a blip.
It is.
And you're getting a lot packed in there, and you're very well protected, which is good. You're safe. You're secured. You're bubble wrapped, right? Getting everything you need. Reading with incredible professionals. And then it's like, now what? And I get it. People case manage and do all that thing, but it's real hard for this facility to understand the breadth of this world. So we have to do, and this is where it's like, don't put the blame there. Leave that where it is, but understand that we have a responsibility as a community to do all this, to work with the individual and look at that recovery.
And this is one of the beauties of organizations like Farr. And Farr just epitomizes the professionality of it, is that they go out, somebody comes out of treatment, they go into a sober living facility. Most of the time it's because the treatment center may have a relationship with them or know of them, or they're in the same area, or things. There's 1,000 reasons, and none of those are bad reasons. It's all fine. If you find a good place, you stick with it.
That's right. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
But and there's all this attention on JCO and Joint Commission, and there's Florida Certification Board, and there's state and local regs for
there's Farr certification
for treatment centers and all that stuff. You get into these houses, and they had not been regulated for a very long time.
Correct.
It's anybody who's got a house, and as long as the town variances allow you to have extra people in your house, they were doing it, and they were flop houses, and they were not good.
Well, I'll say this: there have always been. Recovery housing has always been an important part of recovery. The challenge in Florida is that there were ways to manipulate that and to take advantage of those situations several years ago that people did, unfortunately. Yeah. And so what happened, and through NAR, National Association of Recovery Residences, creating that standard, because it is one of those things too. If you do not figure out a way to regulate and standardize and certify, someone else will. Yeah. And it's just the same thing with in the medical field. Listen, do you want someone who doesn't understand the medical field to start right? No. So you have these regulations are brought down and by folks that understand the field they're in.
Right.
So in housing, this, the collective of that, it comes from the very best minds in that space. And to certify these homes, it's not coming from some abstract angle. It's looking at, we know what those prime needs of a recovery residence are to support the individual in recovery. We want to make sure that, and we want to make sure houses that may not be certified at this point understand that certification brings, what is it? A rising tide raises all boats.
Yes.
So it's not like we want to put someone down. We want to bring you up.
But you want everybody to come up to the level of security, competency,
absolutely,
and certainly of effectiveness. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the people who are going to these houses expecting to be aided in reestablishing their footprint in the world. And if this house is not going to be doing that, they're not doing well by what they're supposed. So now we've got agencies like Farr to step in and do this and to look at these places.
And it's partnership, right?
And it's a partnership.
And we don't work in a silo either. I mean, people think of like big bad DCF. Well, DCF has what's under their umbrella, right? It's hard to believe.
There's very few businesses that don't have a DCF somehow involved in it.
I've been doing very few agencies my whole life.
I open a gas station. Why is DCF here? I don't know.
DCF doesn't know why they're there. But they have good people working there.
Yes,
they've done an incredible job to take what's been a difficult situation and to really understand it. And now we're working lockstep with DCF, which is the way it's always should have been. Our state's, for Palm Beach County, our state's attorney's office, of course, has been a leader in the state, now a leader in the country on how to create legislation, also look how to crack down on this stuff.
The Palm Beach County Task Force cannot be thanked enough. Dave Ehrenberg, Al Johnson, these guys coming together, and they've got careers. They didn't have to go that far in this direction, but they knew it was the right thing to do, and they knew that they can affect change, and they took Florida. Let's be honest.
We went from
South Florida as the worst.
We went from worst to first.
As the worst regulated, the worst violations that you can imagine. I mean, some human violations, business violations, insurance violations. There was all of that. Everything was going on. And even the people that thought they were doing the right thing were doing the wrong thing because there was no guidance anywhere. Right. And now in 20 years, It took about
maybe 15 to 20 years. 2016, where I would say things were at their worst.
Yes.
That was the pinnacle of the worst. Between that, 2018 is the new legislation. Sober Home Task Force was established. And then they started, the crackdown, shall we say. But I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, as things got cleared up, cleaned out, re-regulated, reestablished, relationships built, is it perfect? Of course not.
Of course.
Do we still have some issues? Of course. Do we have houses that lose certification? Yep, we do. But that's why we have certification, because you've got to hold people accountable.
People should pay attention. I actually appreciated the fact that Farr was doing that and paying attention. That there's been not many, trust me, not many, but there's been a few over the last several years where Farr's had to step in and say, you know what? You've got to clean this up. We're pulling our
and look, and we're going to give a chance.
Work with them to help them fix it, though.
That's right. So everything is a process now. There's nothing arbitrary about it. There is a policies and procedures on these things. There is a compliance committee. You have everything has a due process. Farr has done very well in establishing the internal needs. We have a new CEO. It's also internal legal counsel. We have legal counsel on our board, so acting legal counsel. So this is not playtime. This is real time. Yeah. And so when these things are happening, we take it very seriously. We give it its full due process, and we make the best decision. Quite frankly, we are there to number one, protect the individuals in that house.
Absolutely.
We're here to support the folks that create the housing 100%. At the end of the day, the health and safety of those individuals in those houses are our responsibility every single day.
Be reasonable. Every time you open a business to get rich overnight, you're going to do it wrong. Any kind of business, especially in the recovery business. But if you do the right treatments and you treat the people right, I've always been a believer that money will follow. But you got to put the people right at first, and you got to do things right. If you're not interested in doing that, go open a car dealership.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do that.
Exactly.
Because this is part of what we're talking about, is that leaving treatment and going out into the world, the aftercare. And it should not be called aftercare. It should be like new care, because it's the beginning of a new life.
Call it life.
It's life. Yeah. Stepping into life. It's so important. And in fact, it's so important that we as a group, with Farr and One Brother, One Sister, and the Florida Mental Health.
I'll get it right. Gail will crush me. Florida Mental Health Advocacy Coalition. FLMHAC.
That's right.
Amazing group.
FLMHAC. It's not just gagging anymore.
Yes.
It's FLMHAC. I just gotta say,
Flem's got a new
but
game.
Gail Giese and all the people at
Amazing.
Farr, Karen and I, we all are so excited about moving into and what almost every RCO said we're into.
Oh, absolutely. It's putting the whole network together. So if you think about it, I mean, One Brother, One Sister, this represents first responders, veterans, a core group of folks that,
and our community heroes too.
Community heroes,
the RCOs.
and they're out there training and living. I mean, all of it, right? So that's groups that we go to bat for anytime, anywhere.
Of course.
And the Florida Mental Health Advocacy Coalition, this is a made up of all. What they're doing is great, is bringing their sphere or broadening their sphere of influence. So you have like NAMI and organizations like that, National Alliance of Mental Illness, that are coming together across the state. They're coalesced now. They have a lobbyist. They're working on legislation. They're doing it. They are doing all the right things to be a constituency of consequence. We're building Farr right now to be a very similar organization in our lane, like I said, and we're a part of Florida Mental Health Alliance. We're putting those things together. We brought prevention voice in there. We brought housing voice in there. We're talking about, they're saying we need mental health housing. Well, Farr, we're not quite there yet, but that's something we should probably be at the conversation of, right?
Yeah, of course.
If it's to bring that expertise.
Because there should be the same standards for mental health housing.
Absolutely, because we're seeing that now is that, just like we saw recovery housing and when it was unregulated, people saying, hey, we're recovery, and it wasn't a recovery house. It was a flop house. So we're seeing the rise of people saying, oh, well, we're doing mental health. But it's like, oh, well, mental health includes, well, you can, bring your girlfriend, bring your boyfriend, bring your dog, your gerbils, your weed, your stuff like that. It's wellness. It's like, no, you're not a flop house. And and by the way, you're grabbing people out of, real recovery houses because you're $25 less. That doesn't work. So but here's the best part is that unlike the bad old days when it was like you had to wait to find, we have the infrastructure and the team now that can deal with and respond to this effectively quickly, as opposed to waiting for it to be crisis and react. We have Farr, we have Florida Mental Health, we have the state's attorney's office, we have DCI. All of these things are now working in concert. So is that a perfect system? Absolutely. Of course, there is never going to be a perfect system, but my goodness, we have something really good, really important, working well right now. That's what we need to emphasize. And when you see groups like Florida Mental Health Alliance reaching out and bringing in all these other spheres into that, what you're seeing is folks that are great in their lane, breaking down silos, right? I'm not going to get into the full-on mental health lane because that's not my lane. But we have things that can certainly affect that. Let's work together. But you guys do your lane. We're going to support it.
When Sawgrass Mills was built, the mall, they didn't say, let's create a shoe store, let's create a bookstore, let's create this store, let's create that store. They said, let's create the hub where all of these people can bring their expertise. Yeah. Why reinvent the wheel? We don't need to do that. We've got these guys. And I just want a store in their mall of services. Yeah. And that's where people can go. And I think consolidating, working together with other agencies is really important.
Yes.
Fighting and fragmenting over issues is just the people lose.
9 times out of 10, it's fighting and fragmenting over money, right? Yeah. It's like, guys, let's get to the bottom line. There isn't much done. Let's just let that go. So do the work.
We're not
that you do.
Oil diggers. We're not bringing oil to the surface.
But we can do a lot better with what we have if people focus on what they do well.
Exactly. But this all comes around. We started this conversation to mention that what we're trying to put together is we've been able to there's a conference that has been the EAP conference in Florida has been in existence for 40 something years or whatever.
It's truly a classic.
It is a classic. It's the oldest conference that was held in Florida. But the people and the time involved and the change in the system itself, where the EAPs aren't quite as involved the way they used to be. There's a lot of different things that changed. It just says the conference, it's time for it to do something different. And we've got a group of us that step forward and says, why don't we create a conference that truly celebrates the point of life, the point of recovery hitting life, the aftercare, whatever you want to call it, where we're going to be talking about everything from job preparedness to sober livings to therapies, counselors, services, mental health, RCOs, respites, all of that stuff coming together so that we can actually create more of a buzz.
That's right.
You look up rehabs, you're going to get hit with 1 million rehabs. And everyone's going to have beautiful pictures. They're going to have all this stuff.
There's an amazing amount of treatment facilities that offer horseback riding on the beach, apparently.
Yes, apparently. Horseback riding on the beach. I think that was the one in Arizona. Yeah. No beach people.
Iowa looks a little odd.
But the thing is that if we can bring all of these people together, these kind of services, and really create more of an awareness and create more of a point of entry for people who are getting early in recovery, so that, listen, they don't have to stress about all of this stuff. They have help to achieve it at the beginning.
That's right.
Right. Sometimes when you let somebody out of a treatment center, it's like handing them, Argentinian dictionary and saying, learn to speak their language.
Yeah.
But then
no
other help. No other help.
Yeah.
And you don't get to hear it from other people. You don't get other help. All you got to do is read a book and say the language. You can't do that.
No.
You can't do that. You need somebody to say, hey, listen, why don't you go over here, start hanging out with these people, and you'll start to pick up the language, and you'll start learning that.
That's
and
it.
you'll be able to go do this and go do that. So that's really what we're pushing for. Like I said, 5th grade simple. We need to make people understand that the rehab is the starting point, not the end point of your recovery.
That's
it's
right.
The starting point.
That's right. And if that's the opportunity, phenomenal. If that opportunity brought you here to South Florida, it's our job to make sure what we do and create, if you stay here, is the best recovery environment you can find. That's what we are. That's our goal. That's what our mission is, and that's what we do. And I'm glad you said, keep it to 5th grade, because that really pretty much puts us at our limits.
I know. I used to say 6th grade, but then I remembered what I did in 6th grade. That's when I discovered rubber cement.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a craft project. I was just sniffing
Needless to say, that was one of my mom's favorite stories, was that she's like, she knows that just the times, if my mom was an art teacher, artist. She says she knows the time had crested when she had to start locking up the rubber cement in the class, and then the X-Acto knives. No more X-Acto knives. No more airbrushing. No more anything fumes.
Yeah, seriously.
The mimeograph machine.
Oh my God. Can't even have the good old markers.
Markers.
Those new markers don't smell the way those old ones did. I swear, those old markers.
And then they made them smell like, had all the colors had their own smell.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was.
And green apple always smelled like old tires. I don't get it.
The yellow smelled like popcorn. It was some weird thing.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway. So that's what we're going to be putting. So stay tuned. Right now, it's just let's call it the real world recovery conference, something of that nature. That's what we're going to be bringing.
It'll be lovely.
Be working on it.
It'll be fun.
We're also going to be talking soon about another Farr picnic in the winter.
Giggage, yes. Well, I mean, another thing too, we want to emphasize as things go happen, and as I travel and bandy about the state and see our incredible partners around the state. There is so much cool stuff happening. I know up in September is the Brevard County
Recovery Picnic.
Recovery Fest.
That's
how. And in Space Coast Brevard, in that area, they've done some great work. We're building up leadership teams for Farr in all of these regions. We're aligning them with our DCF regions as well. So it's really trying to give the state as much support as possible and emphasize the great leadership that's already occurring. So, pick a point on the map in Florida, we have some really great work that's happening, and we're there to help support it, emphasize it, and bring it to another level as well, because the more those regions are working together, that's helping their own specific region. But remember, people move around the state. People move into this state. So we want to see that, hey, if you're in Palm Beach County today, but you got family in Orange County and up in Orlando area, guess what? We're going to give you a warm handoff.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go into a new community thinking, I don't know anybody. Someone's going to know you.
Absolutely. And if you've got, whether it's a treatment center, recovery organization, sober living, if you're throwing something and you want attention, you're having a grand opening or a party or a recovery fest of your own, recovery picnic. And if you want to let people know, just let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Go to scott@soberlifestudios.com. Email me, scott@soberlifestudios.com. Let me know what your event is. We'll put it out there. We're on 2 to 3 times a month right here on Farr and Beyond. So please just let us know. If you know Micah or myself, just please let us know what you have coming up. If there's an event that you want us to talk about, and we'll talk about it, as long as it's out there for the right cause.
That's right.
The grand opening of your mom's new restaurant, not so much. But
well, it depends what kind of food.
Well, I know. And do we get to eat for free? That's an important thing. Listen, a couple other things we need to talk about. So we're going to tell you more about those conferences and
as they come up. Yes,
there's so much. There's so much going on in our communities. Pay attention. Before we move further, let's take a moment for one of the comedy greats in the world, Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart passed away.
Wait, I'm going to do my impersonation of Bob Newhart calling an atheist. Just kidding. Can't never do that justice. That's comic. He was a comic genius.
He had a cadence.
Yes.
That was, you can't, if you try to repeat his cadence, it makes it look like you're making fun of somebody.
That's right.
But when he does it, it's just so natural. I've never seen him speak fast.
No.
Ever.
No.
I'm thinking about even his movie roles. I've never seen him yell.
No. All the same. And remember his first album, the button-down comedy of Bob Newhart, right?
Yeah.
I want to say it was the biggest comedy album of all time for, I can't remember how long. And still to this day is still in like the top 10. He was the first comic to break through. I mean, he had a huge career anyways, but to like break through in that medium. Like you used to have little records go this and now. It was like a multi-platinum record. It was the first time that it ever happened.
Right. Then you saw many start to follow, and you wouldn't have Cheech and Chong without Bob Newhart.
No Bill Cosby.
You wouldn't have. Some people might say that.
I know. That's
but yeah, all the great ones. But he comes from an era of people of the great ones like Don Rickles and all those guys. And and he,
Foster Brooks and Don Rickles and the Smothers Brothers and
Bob Newhart.
Yep.
He worked with Ed Sullivan. He worked with Benny,
Jack Benny,
Carol
Burnett.
He worked with all those, and he was on one of the new shows, one of the biggest shows of the last 10 years, Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
He had a reoccurring role on that show.
Well, he was on TV.
Talk about a guy, and he had 3 successful shows.
Bob Newhart Show.
Wait,
Newhart.
Wait. Which one came first? Was it the Bob Newhart show?
Bob Newhart show was first.
Then Newhart.
Then
Bob Newhart.
Yeah. Then it was Bob.
Then it was Bob. Okay. Yeah. Amazing. But I wanted to honor him because he's truly one of the good people.
Yeah, good people and great mind. And he had one of the funniest lines ever too when he was visiting Johnny Carson, another comic legend. Of course, Johnny was known for his larger than life sort of everything. And Bob goes to visit Johnny at his house in Malibu and walks in and says, "So, where's the gift shop?" Now that's gold. That's gold.
So anyway, I knew you would like that, honoring Bob Newhart. And we grew up in a time when our celebrities were very important to us and our musicians are very important to us. And,
yes.
And we're not talking about this rapper that popped up yesterday and today everybody loves them. We're talking about people that we grew up with, music wise and actors and everybody else. And so we tend to go a little overboard with that stuff. I hope you guys don't mind. And if there is like a new actor or new musician that you like out there, they're never going to be as good. Sorry. I got to be honest. You name me one person who's come out recently that's going to have that kind of lasting.
I think the challenge is with that is that they're not even given the opportunity to create that. Right?
Well, no, they're not.
I think, look, at the end of the day, I think there's some great talent today that's going to have some staying power. I think that, I think Taylor Swift has built a catalog that you can't squash.
Undeniable. And she's
great talent.
Empire,
Billie Eilish, amazing talent. You got Ed Sheeran, I think is a great talent, right? Songwriter. But a lot of these folks,
I think Pink is
a great artist
and great showman.
Yeah, great show, great artist. but you got to have folks that do the writing.
Yeah.
So Taylor Swift writes her own stuff. Now, I mean,
That's a rarity, actually.
Well, so does Billie Eilish. Writes her own stuff. I think does a lot with her
brother. Yeah.
And so we've had some great brother sister duos out there. The Timmons with Cowboy Junkies and the kids from Nickel Creek, and we got all kinds of
the Carpenters.
The Carpenters. Partridge Family. Just kidding. I think I love you. But
it's so easy.
It's so
easy. Just shiny squirrel.
But and this is important too, because I think it flows exactly what we're talking about. The staying power is because they have something else invested in it. They're not a construct created. Most of your acts that didn't actually create and were just sort of a construct created, none of them had staying power. You had some one-hit wonders that can maybe eke out a career because of nostalgia.
Right.
But as far as staying power in the canon, you're not going to keep it because you got to have the substance behind it. So those that are around today that do the writing, create the content, create the art, that's what lives on.
Absolutely.
So that's what I do think. I mean, I think every generation has a bit of both. And you could take any style of music, and let's take a group like Public Enemy, or I'm talking in hip hop terms now, over the last say 30, 40 years, because that's this generation's. They've seen that entire arc of that art form,
right,
from beginning, right. So we were around. I came around and kind of almost like I was born like a peak rock and roll, early 70s.
Yeah.
Take that. Good luck. Fine. I mean, we all say the 60s, the beat. You take that mid 70s block, and it's pretty much it.
I'll tell you. You know, there's the ends of the 60s when rock and roll was really starting to form itself.
Yeah.
The 70s, and I know everybody says the 70s was disco. 70s was also the time of great rock.
It was,
and that was where these super bands started coming together. These mega talented people. And then even in the early 80s, having the newer bands with the staying power, people like Bon Jovi and things like that.
Van Halen.
Staying power, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Gene Simmons. Yeah, there's Van
Kiss.
Halen right there. Gene Simmons actually discovered Van
Halen.
Yeah.
Produced the first record.
Yeah. And Gene wanted to call the Bad Daddy Longlegs and Eddie Van Halen. Thank you, Eddie, for sticking with it wherever you are, pal. But it's cool stuff. The reason that you and I could talk about this is because at some points in our lives, we found a way to put our lives together and enjoy ourselves.
Yes.
That's what I want everybody to experience. That's what we're talking about with all the stuff we talked about today. It's all about giving people a chance to experience life the way that we talk about it, the way we feel about it, to have that kind of, I mean, I got childhood memories of sleeping in the mall so I can get tickets to go see Styx. And
I went to an all-night release party for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 at Tape World. Guess how many people showed up?
How many?
Me and my brother.
That was, but we had, we used to stand in line overnights for REO Speedwagon, for all this stuff. But we got great memories. But also, I've experienced a lot of different jobs. Mike has experienced a lot of different jobs. We've gone through all of that stuff in life, and we want everyone to have the opportunity to do that. You need help, though, if you've missed this big part of your learning experience, and that's where we're concerned.
Yeah,
that's why it's so important that we're involved on the other side, involved in education, involved in setting up these things, working with Farr, working with the RCOs. I applaud what you do, my friend.
Well, I applaud what you do. I think that's why we can do this, like breathing.
Yes, because it's important, and we're not trying to share something that's ethereal and out there. And I'm not saying something's going to come down and touch you on the head and Maxwell Silver Hammer and your world's going to change. I'm saying that there's moments in every day that are just so spectacular that you can't wait to get together with a friend and talk about and do those things. That's what life really is. Yeah. And connecting with these places, going to good, sober living houses, having organizations like Farr, all the RCOs that are putting their life's blood into everything they do. And one brother, one sister, we're trying to give you that opportunity.
You know what? The way you say that was fantastic, and it just jumped in my head. What are the 3 secrets to real estate?
Location, location, location.
The 3 secrets to this world: connection. So
that's right.
You put that together, and it's connecting with the people you care about, connecting with something you care about, and connecting back to yourself. And for those connecting to that higher power, that power in you, that power above, that power around, you're back in the game. You're back in the saddle. You're back on the stage. Right?
Absolutely. So we got to wrap it up, but I just want to mention a couple of things. One brother, one sister is very proud. Karen is going to be heading out to Georgia, Mobile, Alabama. That's where she's going. Alabama. I knew.
Welcome to geography.
There was an
Far
A
beyond.
in there somewhere. Yes. I had a hard time when I was with my geography was tough when I was living on the New York-California border.
Right.
So, but she'll be heading up to Mobile, Alabama to be a part of the mid-season conference for PBUS, which is the Professional Bail Bonds Associations of America.
Nice.
And this is incredible. We've done work with Dog before, and we've done work with a lot of people, but being connected to the PBUS, we get the chance to reach out and deal with a lot of these bonds people across the country. And it's amazing the stories that they tell. It's not stories of chasing down some creep. It's the stories of them helping bail somebody out who just found himself in a bad space, helping them out, and then almost having a friend for life after that because they're trying to do the right thing. So we're bringing our training, our knowledge on trauma, addiction, and certainly mental health to the bail bondsmen so they can do a better job at helping people. And we're very proud that she's going to be doing that next week. Also, as we mentioned in September, you start planning now because, if you're not in that area, sometimes you got to think about what you want to do about going up there. But towards the mid to late September, they're having the Recovery Fest in Brevard County.
Brevard County, also in Palm Beach County on the 25th, what used to be called Facing the Crisis. Now we're celebrating resiliency and renewal. That is coming up 25th of September.
Okay.
And that will be in Wellington. There'll be plenty of information coming out from our partners at Palm Health and the Community Services Division of Palm Beach County and the Hub. And welcome there. We always have a huge house for that, and where we celebrate a lot of these wonderful things that are happening in recovery, celebrating Recovery Month. Our website goes live this week for our now annual, sorry guys, it's Palm Beach County only, but I'll do a shout out there, but for our annual recovery community project initiative we have, where organizations, nonprofits, organizations that support recovery in any way. You tell us what you do to support recovery, and we can get you $1,000 grant to help make that happen for Recovery Month. Pretty cool, huh?
Fantastic. That is in Palm County, but all these things that are happening, maybe in Palm County or maybe somewhere else, they're starting to find their way around everywhere. They're starting to find their way around. And, just because up in Brevard they're doing this doesn't mean there's not something going on in Broward. Look around a little bit.
Guaranteed.
And watch out for us. Listen for us as your resource. We will do we'll do our due diligence to dig up what's happening in the area.
We might even be there
with you. Yeah, we might even be there. You might catch us at one of these places doing a live podcast, and it might be a whole afternoon of podcasting. Maybe you come in and join us for a few minutes.
Absolutely. And then, by the way, if you have something in this recovery space that you want to talk about and be a guest on this show, we welcome you. Shoot us a note. Let us know. We'll give a chat. And we want to, don't get me wrong, we enjoy doing this all day long. But we also want to get the voices of the people right here. The more chances we can get to get that voice out there, the better. So
very well said. Very well said. For all of you out there, absolutely incredible of you to spend a little bit of time with us, of your precious time. We appreciate it. Remember, subscribe to the channel, like the show, and share it with your friends. And don't forget to leave a comment, even if it's just saying hello. It means a lot to us, and we could really use the help. But subscribe and be a part of. And that's all I got. What do you think?
I'll tell you what.
What are your final thoughts for the day?
Final thoughts. I'm going to keep saying again, connection, connection, connection. Thank you, my brother. As always, it's a pleasure.
My man, it's always good. And like I say all the time, remember, every day, do one nice thing for somebody else and two nice things for yourself, and you'll never have a bad day.
Ooh.
Going out there, have a great one. We'll catch you next time right here on Far and Beyond.